Nobody regards them anymore. Okay. Why? There have even been calls by sections of society for the monopoly they enjoy in the constitution to be removed. Today, almost every public institution that has some board or some governing body has representation from the GBA. The thinking is that this is a professional body, but if it has become an arm of the MPP, they don't deserve that status in the constitution.
Philosopher Kwachi Nyabri Roba and the far GBA and Chesebeka say these people no say the king in no and come young for and come fight against both ordinary people and people with higher status. Now so you so a year philosopher Kwachi beka in Niama and these people na ye chese we a partisan. Now so constitution anti this a year board is someone a partisan. Now partisan no more you know as you said they are doing the bid of the MPP people. Na yenimgwa siapa and I just say philosopher Kwachi the big woman I just a bit wasam na I differ some history kakra NSNA a chachikata ninano or bakani in a womb sa bring the GBA edwane nene so-called Chief Justice Intino or mining in our embo na mo fight ama so-called Chief Justice. Meanwhile, multi state one article says President Mahama Akroma Yankuniguti a philosopher Sukwache.
And fast forward to 2008. Sometime in June, Mr. Chikata was unceremoniously bundled into prison by Justice Henrietta Aban in the middle of the case when no indication had been given that judgment was going to be given. So we were here one afternoon when you said that Mr. Chikata had been jailed for allegedly causing financial loss to the state. So you know the Free Church movement sprang up. I was a key member of that movement. We agitated across the length and breadth of this country to secure Mr. Chikata's release. Then, at one of the events, Mr. Samuels, who was the president of the Ghana Bar Association, had caused to comment on what he believed to be the irregular approach of the judge in handing down that sentence to Mr. Chikata midstream when no clear indication had been given that judgment was anywhere near the one. For making this comment, Mr. Samuels was removed as the president of the Ghana Bar Association at a conference in Kumasi because he commented on how a court had handled Mr. Chikata. So here's the same Ghana Bar Association, which under the NDC was prepared to punish the general public by refusing to allow its members to render legal services because a member of DS has suffered some penalty at the hands of the Supreme Court. He had made comments that the court found contemptuous. The same body under the MPP removed their president under the NDC, MPP, yes, removed their president because he also went to the aid of Mr. Chikata, who had been unfairly treated by the courts. Now, there's no clearer example of the duplicity and partisanship of the GBA than what I've given you. You see, when the MPP is in power, they tag along, they acquiesce, they allow all manner of wrongdoing on the part of the MPP. Not a whimper is heard from them. But the moment the NDC comes to power, they are up in arms, purporting to be defending the rule of law and constitutionalism. And that is what is at play in this Chief Justice matter. Because I cannot for the life of me understand how the preeminent body of lawyers in this our country can take up positions that essentially calls on the president of the land to violate the 1992 constitution. Because a Chief Justice appointed by an MPP president has been asked to go on suspension pending investigations into allegations made against him in full compliance with the 1992 constitution. So the crusade the GBA has waged is devoid of moral value. It is not a crusade based on a conscientious appraisal of the facts at play. It is a partisan crusade. And I dare say they are doing it as proxy to the New Patriotic Party. That is what it is. Today I have come here with the mindset to be as frank as possible. You see, we have countenanced this for quite a long time. And then you see that when 30th June came on and the regular remembrance of the dastardly killing of the 3 Supreme Court, High Court judges and the military officer was observed, the GBA intentionally attempted to draw a linkage between that and what is happening. Indeed, that was started by the Chief Justice himself. I mean, making a certain effort to link the processes as they are happening now to the killing of the judges. So now, the killing of the judges and the military officer is one of the most egregious crimes in our history, perhaps in all of humanity. And I trust that those who did it are rotten in the hottest part of hell, and may they suffer eternally for doing that to their fellow human beings. It will forever be condemned as a heinous crime, and nobody can justify it. Never. And we all must summon all the strength we can from the depths of our guts to condemn that. But by God, it does not matter that happened. If a judge violates Ghanaian law, that person ought to be dealt with. It has nothing to do with those murders. So first of all, the attempt by the Chief Justice herself to evoke public sympathy by linking the processes that are currently ongoing to Edu Lodge and claiming that some meetings took place to plan those killings was most unfortunate. It defied logic. Because Edu Lodge was nowhere near those killings. The only mention made of Edu Lodge was a claim by Amatekwe that he met Captain Chikata in the frontage in Captain Chikata's car. So it is not true. This was October 1982. The killings took place in June 1982. So there's no planning that took place in Edu Lodge. In Edu Lodge, I have been there. Look, it is a well-appointed state facility. It is a place where high-ranking officials who visit our country. In fact, I am told, and I believe same to be true, that when Pope John Paul came to Ghana in 1980, he was housed at Edu Lodge. So a whole Pope can reside at Edu Lodge. A whole Pope. And they don't come bigger. In fact, perhaps the highest profile personality who has stayed lodged in that beautifully appointed place. How a whole Pope can stay there without any shred of fear. And yet we are told that if proceedings are held there, and I have seen the setup, world-class setup. There's nothing, indeed, if you go there, there's actually a beautifully appointed holding room, even for the Chief Justice herself and her lawyers, where they can wait pending the start of proceedings. The person sitting on the matter also have a nice place, beautiful lounge to rest pending the start of proceedings. They have modern amenities. And this was given at the request of the committee itself. The thinking is that in order to preserve the Chief Justice's own sanctity, it is not proper to have her go in and out of the court complex. The same place where she ruled the roost, a held court, with subordinates under her. You cannot have her go in and out because it undermines her image and authority. So you need a more discreet setting where she's not subjected to the humiliation of having to go before people in a place where she's superintended. And indeed, that provision in the Constitution, which requires confidentiality, is well considered. So that in the event that she is found not to have been engaged in the claims that have been made against her, her sanctity is preserved and then she can come back to her position. That is the reasoning behind it, and it makes perfect sense. The GBA, of all people, should understand this clearly. And I believe they do, except that they are engaged in MPP partisanship. That is what it is. Also, the GBA has said that there is some disunity, there is some social discord in the wake of this proceeding. So, in the name of national unity, the president should revoke the suspension. So now, which national disunity are they talking about? Are you aware of any divisions in our national fabric owing to this particular proceeding? You are in the media, perhaps it has escaped me. Or maybe lawyer Pierre Dankwa, being the lawyer he is, has information regarding some disunity that has been bred over this case. in the interest of peace? Have we been at war in the wake of the Chief Justice suspension, which then requires her recall? You see, there was good reason for suspending the Chief Justice. Article 14610 makes it clear that on the advice of the Council of State, the President may ask the Chief Justice to step aside. There's good reason for that. You see, these are serious matters. The very position of the Chief Justice is at stake. Her personal integrity and image are at stake. So she needs the fullest concentration to fight those charges. She needs to be given every opportunity to fight those charges. Now, one of the ways that she herself has shown she is prepared to fight it is to go to court periodically over certain processes to vindicate her rights. At least, if I'm not mistaken, she's been to court twice. Yeah, she's currently in that. And then there are others who you could describe as her proxies who have also gone to court. Curiously enough, they are all MPP. Godfred, Vincent Asifua and Co. Very curious. That is only MP people who have actually gone to court on behalf of the Chief Justice. In fact, at some point, Godfred Dame was announced as the Chief Justice lawyer. That's also curious. I wonder what the GBA will make of it. But she has used court processes as part of her defense strategy. Not so. So can you imagine a situation where she was Chief Justice? How can the Chief Justice go to court? And she has gone to the Supreme Court. The same court where she sits with her peers to adjudicate matters. She has gone there. Assuming that she was Chief Justice, she would actually have had to empanel. Yeah, you can say that she can recuse herself from the various cases. Yes, she can recuse herself, fine. But she will still be the one to empanel the judges. Even at the High Court, the case that she has sent, if she was Chief Justice, she will be the one to empanel. You can say that, okay, she can delegate that. But again, it is not tied. The conflict of interest is too glaring. She will essentially be sitting on her own case. So you see the wisdom in the president's decision to suspend her, so that she has the fullest opportunity and the concentration to do this. Now, as for the claims made by the GBA and the Chief Justice herself and her proxies, it is obvious that they cannot stand scrutiny, because indeed the Chief Justice's own peers have had cause to evaluate all the claims that she made at her press conference. And these are people that she was working with only 3 months ago. These are not, in fact, the only new additions were sworn in only 2 days ago. I doubt if they've even taken office. They were sworn only 2 days ago. Everybody at the Supreme Court preceded the coming into office of President Mahama. It's the same people that she was sitting on cases and delivering unanimous verdicts. The same people. That's her peers. And she has so much confidence in them as to empanel them on cases. Yet they have evaluated all the matters brought in this particular case. And I'm dismissed. There was a 4-1, there was a 3-2, I think there were two 4-1s, and there was a 5-0. 4 cases, all of them dismissed by the Chief Justice's own peers. That again vindicates the accuracy and constitutionality of the actions taken by President Mahama. But in all of this, the Ghana Bar Association, the Chief Justice herself, and her proxies are unable to point to any specific infraction by President Mahama in the matter. So now, in a nutshell, I am able to say that the GBA is only dabbling in partisanship. They are not being fair to the facts. The principle they are espousing is inimical to the rule of law and constitutionality. The sacred cow mentality cannot work in any civilized society, no matter who you are. I mean, the notion that simply because the Chief Justice has been asked to go on suspension pending the outcome of these deliberations, somehow our judiciary is tainted and that our image has fallen, it's completely untenable. Why? When Roe versus Wade, the judgment on Roe versus Wade leaked in the US. The US Supreme Court came under sustained attacks from people, including the President and the Vice President of the United States of America, senators, leading civil society voices. The American society railed against the Supreme Court. They stuck to their guns. Has the American Supreme Court collapsed? Today, if they pass a judgment, will it not hold because of that criticism? So please let us not fetishize some institutions and create the impression that they are beyond reproach and that they were created by God himself that institution was put together by God himself. No. These are human arrangements. Every human institution is fallible and subject to the views of the people of Ghana. The constitution, the opening paragraph of our constitution says sovereignty resides in the people of Ghana. So the power they hold, including the president's power, the small minuscule power I hold as a minister, is derived from the people of Ghana. As I sit here today and I'm making my submission, people who come and render criticisms at me, they are entitled to do so. They can disagree virulently with my submissions. They should be able to do that and go home and sleep. It does not mean that tomorrow, if I issue a statement that President Mahama has taken a decision or not, it will not be the decision of President Mahama. So this attempt that we create, that a criticism of a judge or a court is anathema, simply because of the dastardly killings of the judges and the military officer, must stop. You see, in the last 40 years, that has been used as a blackmailing tactic against voices who want to call for judicial accountability. Anytime you demand judicial accountability, that specter is raised. And the president, merely because you criticize them, somebody is planning to kill judges. Nobody in the NDC has killed any judge. So now when those things happened, in June 1982, I was only a month old. I was in diapers. I didn't even know them. I didn't even know that anything had happened. So I cannot be blackmailed into silence on account of that. You understand me? In fact, there are 60% of Ghanaians today don't remember that incident because of their ages. So it is a dead strategy. The MPP and the GBA and their proxies are not going to go anywhere by constantly raising that issue as a defense mechanism against legitimate scrutiny. Look, I am a minister. I'm also an MP. I was elected by the people of Kesi. Every 2 weeks, I have to go there to account for my stewardship. Very soon, there will be internal party primaries. And the delegates of the NDC would have to decide whether I merit a continuation of my mandate. Even before the external assessment by the larger electorate, the president was elected. He can be impeached if the right processes are triggered, if somebody is unhappy about his stewardship. And then after 4 years, yes, he would leave the scene. But you could say that his conduct and work will impact perceptions about the NDC going forward. And whoever we present as candidates would either suffer or benefit from the president's handling of governance. So there's accountability for the executive arm and the legislative arm. But the judiciary are not elected. In fact, once you get in there, it is easier for a camel to enter the eye of a needle than for a judge to be removed. Why? Today, President Mahama can dismiss me and I will pack bag and baggage and go home. But he can't do that to a judge unless certain rigorous processes are undertaken. So judges of all the 3 arms of government, the best protected are judges. And it is precisely the reason why they must come under regular scrutiny. Because power has a way of corrupting people and getting them to elevate themselves above everybody else. So constant scrutiny, whether harsh or mild, is necessary to keep public office holders at check. I am opposed to this fetish that we create about our courts. The moment you criticize a judge, hey, hell must break loose. It is not the case. Judges are but human. In the same way that they are corrupt politicians, corrupt parliamentarians, they are corrupt judges. At the very least, Anansi's work has exposed that. So the deification of the judiciary must end. Ghanaians, the coconut seller, if he is unhappy about judicial conduct, must be able to voice it without fear or favor. So the GBA must get off the back of Ghanaians. Their conduct is quite frankly unacceptable. As a professional association, they must act professionally. They are too partisan. And so because of that, nobody regards them anymore. Okay. Why? There have even been calls by sections of society for the monopoly they enjoy in the constitution to be removed. Today, almost every public institution that has some board or some governing body has representation from the GBA. The thinking is that this is a professional body, but if it has become an arm of the MPP, they don't deserve that status in the constitution, because then it is an abuse of constitutional processes. So I will dismiss the GBA's call. It is not founded in principle. If they think they are espousing a principle, it is a very dangerous principle that must be abandoned immediately. President Mahama has followed due process. He has followed the constitutional process. President Mahama has no personal interest in who becomes Chief Justice. Why? In the last 40 years, we NDC have complained about judicial unfairness and mistreatment. But we have survived. We just achieved the biggest political mandate in Ghanaian history, at least under the Fourth Republic, in spite of all the problems we've had with the judiciary. So, who is Chief Justice is completely immaterial to our progress as a party. We have mastered the art of going to the Ghanaian directly to tell them our story. So, President Mahama does not need a particular Chief Justice to get anything done. But by God, if he has to act on the basis of constitutional injunction, he will do so without fear or favor. So, this attempt by the GBA to tie the hands of the president behind his back and elevate some personalities beyond reproach must stop.
For a philosopher who can't just say NDC MP, our say minister, just say a Mahama Kasama for any attending canoe. Nani, some more can't say that people call GBA, you know. It's about time there was some more Casachiromo. And yes, their mandate are equitomono. And for so be any subio. They are not fit for purpose. Because this board called GBA, you know, the share constitution is going to be a various bodies are any people from Kwa. And they becan say Omo for the ewo various bodies being young from winning power. But intimate kobase few people be take a decision normally the whole board behind the atoso. And baby I say no na akwa say the obi akwa na beka obi. And some of these people add the information we have to jano. Or someone na call into agreement. Or someone na call dream comes okay. This information you person pull it out no. You na yati say, and this our stance and I see view. But so many years now, these people are showcasing say they are in the bed of the MPP people. And none of philosophers who can chair the air Ghana for Adrian the SSO. And they have been doing this on and on and on. And there is a time I'll persuade we shame you. So pay philosophers who can actually Ujina Bana name I come here to say those conclusions that tax we want the suspended Chief Justice to come back, President should violate the constitution while with a lawyer for Muye Juma doing things by the constitution, making sure say people are punished if they are not doing the things that and I said doing things against the constitution. You are the same people urging the president to violate the constitution. Does it make sense? The same people are making sure say law and order is in place now. These are the same people are more catching the president on violating the constitution just in favor of someone. Now all the press conferences that these people are organizing maybe one article from the constitution say okay all the processes and Sana Council of State Elders for no be forming prima facie be based any petition all that processes in Nano state is okay. And thereby kuna the government na ya just wa violate the constitution. Omunti state ni nyina bi. So anytime these people be organizing press conferences in Ibiano, say they are talking aside what the constitution says. Some to get a public sympathy, no one person more gain, and some more achieve. And you can't say okay, the constitution as the thing class it's okay, this time the young for into engineering the young adventure. No. Because day in day out, all the positions are these people holding in without the constitution, as the same constitution, those positions in came be the legislature, the executives, anytime be a mistake they are being punished and scrutinized by the same constitution. By any time a lawyer and as the judicial people being mistaken, they don't want the same constitution to scrutinize them. So these are the things a philosopher say a train will be a dream basso. And those people now become GBA or more partisan. This is the time I was saying Ghana for the issue. No more say those partisan conclusion is submission no more making in it doesn't make sense. This is about time every Ghanaians, a lot, majority can read and write. It is a first So right now we have concerning Ghanaians where the ethical decisions not based off you meet to me and as a and when and many more for the sophisticated the aka subscribe and share.